The scent of damp cedar and ancient stone filled the air as Fen led the 62 wolves deeper into the Mist Vale ravines. This was a place where the map of the Jade Empire grew fuzzy, a region of shifting fog and treacherous cliffs that even the hawk scouts avoided for fear of the unpredictable updrafts. Fen stopped at the edge of a high ridge. Behind him, his people were exhausted. Elders leaned on younger wolves. Mothers carried pups wrapped in scavenged silk. They had survived the mines and the outskirts, but they were homeless. The heavenly ledger unfurled in Fen's mind, its light cutting through the natural fog. Scanning environment. Location detected, the hidden basin of the White Plum. Chi density, high pure. Strategic value, excellent. Naturally defensible. Hidden by the breath of the earth, geothermal mists. Mandate, a pack is not just a group, it is a territory. Establish the den. There, Fen said, pointing his hand, now calloused and steady, toward a valley floor below. As the mist parted, they saw it. A lush, bowl-shaped valley, fed by a waterfall that cascaded down the mountain like a silver ribbon. Ancient plum trees, their blossoms a pale, ghostly white, dotted the landscape. It was a place untouched by the soot of the mines or the defacement of the empire. "It's beautiful," Una whispered, stepping up beside him. She looked at Fen, noting the way the moonlight seemed to cling to his silver fur. "It looks like the stories of the Old North." "It's not just a home, Una," Fen said, his eyes scanning the perimeter. "It's a fortress. We start building today." The work began immediately. Fen didn't just give orders. He was the first to haul the heavy timber and the first to scout the perimeter. Using the waxing moon style, he could move fallen logs that would have taken 4 men to lift. The ledger provided blueprints of the ancestors, guiding them to build structures that were not just shelters, but conduits for Chi. 3 months passed. The transformation of the valley was nothing short of a miracle. What was once a wild basin was now Silver Leaf Village. The architecture was distinctly Chinese in influence. Sloping tile roofs, wooden courtyards, and a central pagoda built around a massive, ancient plum tree. But there was a wolf's touch to it all. The walkways were wide for running, and the windows were high to catch the scent of the wind. However, building a village was more than just stacking stones. Fen faced the internal trials of leadership. "The young ones are restless, Fen," Kale said one evening in the central hall. The old veteran had become the village's drill master. "They've spent their lives in chains. Now that they have claws and full bellies, they want to go back and burn the Imperial outposts." Fen looked at the map of the region spread across a low table. "Revenge is a fire that consumes the house it's built in, Kale. If we attack now, Lord Shen will send an army before we've even harvested our first crop of spirit grain." "They need a purpose," Kyle argued. "A wolf without a hunt is just a dog waiting for a master." Fen stood, the azure wolf tooth at his hip, pulsing with a steady blue light. "Then we give them a hunt. We don't hunt boars or tigers. We hunt the ignorance of our own past. Every wolf in this village will learn to read, to cultivate chi, and to build. We are not just building a village. We are rebuilding a civilization." The ledger flickered in approval. Village status, growing. Infrastructure, level 2. Civic unity, 75%. New mandate, diplomacy or defiance. While the village grew, so did the quiet bond between Fen and Una. As the lead healer, Una had established a clinic that doubled as a school for the village's youth. She taught them the properties of herbs and the delicate art of chi manipulation for healing. One night, after a long day of settling disputes over irrigation rights, Fen found Una in the orchard. The white plum blossoms were falling like snow, catching the moonlight. "You look tired, Alpha," Una said softly, stepping out from behind a tree. She held a small bowl of medicinal tea. "Leadership is heavier than the stones of the mines," Fen admitted, taking the tea. "Every time a pup gets sick or a scout reports a boar patrol near the ravine, I feel it in my chest." Una stepped closer, her amber eyes searching his. "You carry the weight because you care. Lord Shen carries power because he fears losing it. That is the difference." Fen set the bowl down. He reached out, his hand hesitating before gently brushing a fallen blossom from Una's ear. "I don't remember who I was before the pit, Una. I don't know if I had a family or a name. But when I look at this village, when I look at you, I don't care about the past anymore." Una took his hand, her fingers interlocking with his. "Then let the past stay in the dark. We are the architects of the dawn, Fen. Whatever happens when the Empire finds us, I will be at your side." In the silence of the orchard, under the gaze of the ledger and the moon, Fen made a silent vow. He wasn't just protecting a pack, he was protecting a home. He leaned in, and for the first time, the weight of the world vanished in a soft, moonlit kiss. The peace of Silverleaf was shattered on a Tuesday. A scouting party of Boer warlords, led by a greedy landlord named Baron Zhu, had been tracking lost property, the escaped slaves from the Iron Hoof. They hadn't found the village yet, but they had found the entrance to the Mist Vale ravine. Fen stood on the high ridge, looking down at the Boer camp. There were 20 of them, heavily armored and carrying branding irons. They were low-level aristocrats, the kind who viewed Anbels like wolves as livestock. "They're too close," Mina whispered, her spear gripped tight. "If they find the thermal vents, the mist won't hide us anymore. If we kill them, their legion will come looking for the missing patrol," Kale warned. "If we let them stay, they'll stumble upon us." Fen watched Baron Zhu, who was currently laughing while kicking a captured Fox Anbel scout they had caught in the woods. The ledger turned a deep, calculated purple. Political encounter, the Baron's greed. Objective: neutralize the threat without triggering an Imperial response. Advice: use the fear of the ghost. Skill suggested: waxing moon, phantom pack. "We don't kill them," Fen decided. "We haunt them." That night, the Boers experienced the terror of the Silver Remnant. Fen and his most elite scouts, using the lunar veil, moved through the Boer camp like spirits. They didn't strike with blades. They struck with shadows. Every time a Boer turned around, they saw a pair of glowing silver eyes in the mist. Their supplies vanished. Their weapons were found snapped in half. Fen used his chi to create a low, vibrating howl that seemed to come from the very ground beneath their feet. By the second night, Baron Zhu was screaming about ghost wolves and ancient curses. He and his men fled the ravine in a blind panic, leaving behind their gold and their captured prisoners. It was a victory, but Fen's expression remained grim. "They'll tell stories," he told Una, "and stories reach the ears of the capital. We've bought ourselves time, but not safety." The village celebrated their first successful harvest of spirit grain with a festival. The central pagoda was draped in silver banners, and the smell of roasting meat and herbs filled the air. For a moment, the wolves were not slaves or refugees. They were a people. But during the height of the celebration, the heavenly ledger began to pulse with an intensity Fen had never felt. It dragged his consciousness into a void of pure light. In this vision, Fen saw a great mountain at the center of the world. At its peak stood the first beast, a creature of shifting form, at once a wolf, a dragon, and a phoenix. The first beast was writing upon a scroll of starlight. "The balance is a thread, not a chain," the beast's voice echoed. "When the serpent strangles the world, the wolf must sever the coil. Fen, you are not a random slave. You were the last archivist of the Silver Guard. You chose to seal your memories within the ledger to prevent Lord Shen from stealing the code of the pact during the purge." Fen gasped as fragments of his past flooded back. He saw himself in the Azure Temple, surrounded by fire, holding the ledger as Lord Shen's soldiers broke down the doors. He had performed a forbidden ritual, binding his soul and his memories to the artifact and casting himself into the bone pit to hide in the one place the Empire would never look, the grave. The vision faded. Fen stood in the center of his village, the ledger glowing brightly before him. "I remember," Fen whispered. Yuna ran to him, seeing the change in his eyes. "Fen, what happened?" Fen looked at her, then at his people. His voice was no longer just the voice of a leader. It was the voice of a king. The ledger isn't just a guide. It's the law of this world, and the current rulers are illegal. He took Yuna's hands in his. "I promised we would have a home, but to keep it, I have to go to the capital. I have to face the High Animal Court and challenge the extermination decree using the ledger's authority." "You can't go alone," Yuna said firmly. "I won't," Fen said, looking at Kyle and Mina. "But first, I have a promise to keep." Under the ancient plum tree, amidst the cheers of his pack, Fen knelt before Yuna. He didn't have a gold ring, but he held the azure wolf tooth. "Yuna of the Northern Stars, will you lead this pack with me? Not as a healer, but as a queen?" Yuna's amber eyes brimmed with tears as she smiled. "Till the moon sets forever, Fen." The wedding was a simple, beautiful ceremony that night, a brief moment of absolute joy, before the dark trials of the Jade capital awaited them.